So where is your destination? A lot of people don't clarify that, right? And we really focus on road mapping. Actually, we use a strategy that was kind of created by Tony Robbins, which is the RPM strategy, the rapid planning method. We focus on that. It's a powerful kind of approach towards personal development, time management, really achieving your goals, whether they're big or small.
Welcome to the Physicians and Properties Podcast, the show where we teach you how investing in real estate can give you the freedom to practice medicine and live life how you want.
Doctor!
Now, here's your host, Dr. Alex Schloe.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Physicians and Properties Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Alex Schloe, and I'm so glad that you're here joining us on another episode. I have a question for you. Have you ever been burnt out? If you can answer yes to that question, then this episode is for you. This episode is a little bit different. We talk a lot about burnout. We talk a lot about mindset, which is the key to unlocking the door to financial freedom for you in the future. This episode will help you build that foundation in order to invest in yourself so then you can invest in others and you can achieve financial freedom to give you the freedom to practice medicine and live life how you want. And that is exactly what our guest today, Victor Leite, has done. Victor is a physician assistant who graduated from the George Washington University School of Medicine. And after practicing full-time for quite some time, he got burnt out. So him and his wife decided that they were going to travel the world and figure out what was next. Luckily for us and for them, they fell into real estate. And Victor is here teaching us more about real estate and how his mindset has shifted in order for him to have all the success that he's had. He is one of the founders of 25/8 Capital, a real estate investing company focusing on multifamily syndications. However, though, he got his start in the single family space and developed a consistent real estate investment track record with over 200 single family BRRRR and fix and flip projects completed, along with building a sizable single family rental portfolio. He has successfully transitioned his skill set towards the multifamily space, acquiring and managing over $30 million worth of real estate as a general partner and operator of his company, 25/8 Capital. We talk a lot about what it means to build a great team, how to get started, how to focus on your family, and of course, more about burnout. So let's get started with today's episode with my good friend, Victor Leite. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Physicians and Properties Podcast. So excited for our guest today. We have Victor Leite, my friend, who is in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So hitting close to home for me on today's episode. Victor, how are things going?
Dude, fantastic, Alex. Thank you for having me. I'm very thankful and grateful for being here, man.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have you here. Grateful for our friendship and grateful every time I get to talk to you. So looking forward to today. And I know there's going to be a ton of value from today's conversation. So thanks for your time on this Sunday morning. Awesome. Do you mind telling folks a little bit about yourself?
Gosh, well, yeah, of course I will. And I can really tell my story as quickly and as short as I can. But for most of you who don't know me, I was actually born in Brazil. I immigrated to the States as a young man. I didn't speak the English language. I didn't know anything about the American culture, but I was focused on chasing that American dream, right? So I followed the traditional path, just like others around me told me to follow, right? So I went to school. I dedicated endless hours of studying, just like you, Alex, right? Got good grades, worked multiple jobs, and especially in healthcare since I was, 16? I put myself through school, through college. I was thankfully accepted to the George Washington School of Medicine, where I received my medical training and medical degree as a physician associate. I began my path towards practicing medicine. And most of you would think, right, just like all of us, that I finally reached that level of American dream that everybody's in search of, right? But to be honest with you, man, after 5+ years working, I was working private practice, internal medicine, 60-hour plus work weeks, high patient load, overnight call, medical rounding, dealing with the corporate structure and the pressures from the medical business world to see more, to do more. I really started to take a toll on me. And so I talk about this openly. I felt that burnout coming. And just like most of the healthcare professionals, or even those who are listening to us here today, have dealt with a certain caliber, especially since COVID has hit, right? So my wife, Lee, who also practiced medicine, we went home one day and we really had more of a strong, directed conversation about our lives and what we really wanted. And so we made a radical decision and we decided that we needed to press the reset button. So we did. We stopped everything and packed our lives into 2 backpacks and took off traveling the world for over a year, nomad style. Okay.
That's awesome.
And so I know. So during these travels, we learned a lot of things about ourselves and about what we really wanted. And we did a lot of soul searching. It wasn't just a vacation, it was a journey for us. And through this process of this journey, we did a lot of self-education, self-thought. We did a lot of reading. And I read them all. Okay. I read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The One Thing, The 4-Hour Work Week, The Gap in the Gain, Tony Robbins. Right. And all these things that really just started resonating with me personally is that in reaching your level of financial freedom and reaching that caliber of wealth, real estate was really a topic that kept coming up and was a place that seemed to me that anyone could get started without any experience or money. And that could bring you some level of financial freedom. Right. And so, look, we had a beautiful time. We were gone for 15 months. We traveled the world. And when we got back from our travels, we had a different mindset set up. And we had a little bit of money saved up. And so we got, I got my start in the little fix and flip projects. That was my entry point. I didn't really have a network. I didn't know how to connect. And I got started that way. And so, I completed a project and hey, I had strong returns. And I thought, well, why not give it another shot? And so I did. And so 2 became 4. And I tell everybody 4 became 8. And now we've done over 200 plus projects. And with these extensive knowledges, that we've created with renovation, construction, operation, management, we also able to complete a large amount of BRRRRs. And for those of you who understand what BRRRRs are, you can Google that, but it's the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat model. And personally, my wife and I, we built a nice little single family portfolio of rentals, which then we reached our financial freedom goals and we got the taste for that cash flow life is what I talk about it. That mailbox money started coming in. And so our eyes started opening even more. Over the past couple of years, we decided to transition our focus a little bit more. And we took all of our skill set and we transferred over to the commercial space, specifically multifamily apartments. And we knew we could do it. We knew we had built this value add system of a beast on the residential side. And so we just transitioned over to the commercial multifamily side. Obviously, we had to learn the ropes, especially with the different level of number, the game, the deal sourcing, the broker relations, the banking relations, underwriting, acquisitions, due diligence, management, you name it. There's not a special course you can take for all of this. But thankfully, we've had some success in it. Especially on our first multifamily deal, we took down a 65 unit off market property, blocks from the ocean front, 50% vacancies. It was falling apart. And we went in there with our 3 C's. We were confident, we were clear about our goals, and we were certain that we can do this. So we went in there and we completely accomplished our business plan in less than a year. And we were able to raise rents tremendously. We were able to turn over the community. We went from 50% vacancies to 0. And so from that on, as general partners, sponsors, operators, we were able to acquire, multi-million dollars worth of assets over the last years. And now just our goals, man, are just to continue scaling operations onwards and upwards. So that's awesome. Me in a short term.
You nailed it, man. What a great story. And remind me, when you guys went and did your world travels, you also had kids as well at that point in time, correct?
So my wife was pregnant. So we didn't have kids with us at that time. Yeah, we were pregnant at that time. So we've traveled a lot with our kids, but for 15 months, that would definitely be another set of challenges. But yeah, she was pregnant at that time. But we got to see, all of South America, which I'm from Brazil. And so I'm fluent in Portuguese, Spanish, and French. And then we went to the Southeast Asian countries and I loved it, man. It was just such how you're in that mode. And you guys know, everybody here knows who's listening to this. You're in that work mode, that patient flow mode, that daily grind of focusing on giving and caring and providing for others. You tend to forget about yourself. And so when we paused it, we stepped away from it. We're like, wow, so many things that we felt like we were missing that we kind of had an eye-opening experience on.
Traveling just really does kind of open up the mind and it just fills up your cup. I just got back, we were talking before the call. I just got back from a 10-day camping trip with the family and my wife and my son and our golden retriever. We packed up in the truck and pulled the camper and went all over Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and back into Colorado and hit all the national parks. And it was just a blast, man. It was 10 days, not nearly as long or as exotic as your experience, but man, I just needed it to fill my cup up. And I think one thing that was interesting was I noticed personally the first few days, it was so hard to just relax. I felt like in the back of my mind, I was thinking about physicians and properties and work and all these other things. And honestly, it was kind of taken a little bit away from the experience and from the trip. And I remember sitting around the fire one night, my wife, for some reason, every night when we're home here, I always put Jack to bed. Every night. I love it. I love that time with him. But for some reason, we're camping, it just flips. And he only wants to go to bed if mom puts him down.
Yeah.
And so it's just really interesting. But I was sitting around the fire thinking about it. And why do I feel so anxious right now? Why do I feel so stressed right now? I'm sitting here by the fire in Zion National Park. And like, what's going on? And I just realized, like, hey, man, you just need to slow down. You just need to like remove all these distractions, And I did. And it was just an eye opener. And I think it's hard for us as we're busy type A individuals sometimes to take that time to slow down, and travel forces you to do that. And we talked about that before. I love the idea. That's why I love having a camper so much, is because we like to try and go to places where there is no cell phone service and there's no connection. It's just that time with family, that time to focus and unwind. Yeah, disconnect. And it's so important. And that looks different for everyone. And I think financial freedom offers the opportunity to maybe do that more and do that in different places. But that time might look like, hey, I'm just going to take an afternoon off from work and not see patients for an afternoon and go recharge in the mountains, or, go on a walk. It looks different for everybody, but it's so important to do that and to continue to fill your cup up with things that give you value and give you joy.
No, I completely agree with you, man. It's really hard, and I'm glad that you're open about it, because we all have had that level of stress. It's a mental exhaustion of stress and pressures, excessive workload, and it's hard to turn it off. It's hard to really turn, at least for me personally, it was hard to turn that off. I've been in healthcare for 23 plus years and seeing death and dying on a regular basis. And that's why they call us the wounded warriors, right? But it's really hard to turn it off when you're off and try to really focus on maintaining a healthy work-life balance, kind of setting those boundaries and trying to focus on meaningful activities with the family outside of work. It's something that I'm sure everybody deals with. But for me personally, I know exactly how you feel. It's like you're trying to find those moments to really fill your cup up a little bit more, because you can't pour from a continuously empty cup. And you're really trying to find those moments that really bring you joy and motivation, and really focusing on your why. And I think those things are important. Like, it's really cool with what you're doing with your family and setting those values early on in life, of Jack's life. And like, I think it's just wonderful. I think everybody should take that as an example of like just focusing on yourself and focusing on what makes you happy, meaningful activities. You have to bring that into your life, because and I know, we both know, we can work 80 hours, 100-hour work weeks. We can just work and take call. We can take moonlighting jobs. We can work excessively. But the system in healthcare will bring you in and squeeze you out as far as you let them squeeze you. And so it's a contributing factor. And that's why you're talking about it. I really think it's small steps forwards toward becoming a better version of ourselves, Mm-hmm. And I think you're right on point on that. I think you have to find ways to do it.
Yeah, I agreed. It's boundaries. You got to set those up. And I think you're right. The healthcare system will just wring you out, and, more and more patients and working more and more hours. And we've all felt that stress that comes with that, and burnout that comes with that. I think for me, it was really just setting boundaries and thinking about the things that I really value. I love medicine. I love taking care of patients. I also really love my family. I really love my wife, and I really love my son, and I really love my time with them. And I'm fortunate that I realized it pretty early on as in residency and as an attending. Like, the only people that are going to remember that I came home late is going to be my son and my wife. My patients don't care. The hospital doesn't care. The administrators don't really care. But the only people that are really going to remember that is going to be my wife and my son. And I want to be there for them. And that's so important. Right. And I think that gets missed from time to time. There's always like more and more busy work that we can do at work, and more patients we can see. But are we like setting our priorities right? And are we also providing really good care for patients? Because we've all hit that point where we're seeing so many people that we're not providing personalized medicine. We're not really taking care of folks. We're just putting a Band-Aid on an issue and seeing them again and seeing them again. And so I think it's so important to have those boundaries, to leave something in the tank so that you can take care of patients as best you can.
So very true.
Yeah. What are some things that you noticed, as we're hopping into the kind of more of the burnout discussion, what are some things that you noticed tended to be difficult for you in medicine? And what are some ways that you kind of combated some of that burnout for you practicing as a PA?
Look, I mean, like I said, everybody has different levels of what we call burnout, because burnout's an ever challenging kind of wide spectrum
Yeah.
issue that affects all healthcare professionals, physicians, events, practice providers, nurses, pharmacists, the physical
Yeah.
therapists, respiratory therapists, medical
Yeah.
assistants, your front office staff. Hey, even your janitorial staff, man, everybody has some level of it, right? And especially since COVID hit, to be honest
Right.
with you, it kind of highlighted that even further, the vulnerabilities in our healthcare system and some resilience as well.
Yeah.
To me, it was more of that mental, emotional exhaustion coming out of the hospital or coming out. I was working outpatient medical clinics, urgent care clinics, and coming out of that area. You remember that, right? I mean, it's a scarring memory in our heads of like face shield, N95 mask, another mask on top of that,
Yeah.
gown, double gloves, 6 feet apart, like all these things, all these pressures to really, in healthcare, at least I believe, bedside manner, that laying that touch on your patient, that was pushed away from us. It
Yeah.
says, no, got to be away, and just that excessive emotional exhaustion on a daily basis on dealing with that and the volume. And so, it's that sensation of like just that exhaustion, that workload, the pressures also from not just the community, because we want to serve. That's why I enter healthcare. That's why I've always wanted to help people and I wanted to serve and be of value to others. But it's more of the pressures. Like, we need to see more. We need to clear more rooms. We're going to give you less time for administrative work. You got to do it after hours, 12, 14-hour days. It was more of those things that really started kind of recognizing those patterns. And everybody has a different level of it. Because to be honest with you, for me personally, when COVID hit, I wasn't in healthcare full time. I still kept my license active, but talking to my colleagues, especially who have been in healthcare for 40 plus years, brilliant people retiring early, stepping away and say, this is just not worth it. This is just not, being honest with themselves, this is not what I want to do anymore, and my cup is empty. So gosh, we can go on and on and on about this. I don't want to trigger any more negativity in this kind of conversation, but these patterns of burnout, man, it's there. You got to be honest with yourself.
I'm sure everyone listening to this has felt it at some point for sure. And I think back to those days too, and just the unknown that was there. I was in residency. We were doing a ton of inpatient ICU care, and unfortunately seeing a lot more death than we had seen at the hospital I was working at during that time frame. And my wife was pregnant with my son, and I remember just kind of like pit of anxiety of like, oh man, we don't really know what's gonna like what happens if I get COVID and give it to her, or what happens if something happens to me and I never get to see my son be born. All these thoughts that you kind of spin in your mind, and so kind of the mental toll that happens with COVID and with medicine as a whole, just things that we experience. But I will say, what an amazing opportunity we've had and continue to have, getting to take care of people in their most vulnerable times, getting to connect with them, be there for them, and just really take care of them on their worst day. It's just such an honor. So I'm so grateful for the practice of medicine. I'm not terribly grateful for how healthcare system is set up and restraints and less of autonomy and control that we have as providers, but so grateful for what really matters, and that's the patient care.
Correct, man. I'm with you on that. Yeah, that's really what it's for.
For sure. Well, what I've always enjoyed about you, man, is your mindset, your positivity, your ability to like just have a goal and get after it. And so I think it'd be really valuable if we kind of talk a little bit more about mindset and like creating a roadmap to success and those sorts of things. What are your thoughts in regards to that?
No, of course. One of our core beliefs at our team at 258 Capital is focusing on your mindset. It's really focusing on eliminating these limiting beliefs that everybody has, right? Everybody has these limiting beliefs. I'm not smart enough. I'm not experienced enough. I don't know enough. I don't know it. All these limiting beliefs. And that's one thing that's been powerful in kind of changing the way that our successful strategies work. And one of the strategies that at least we have focused on is on road mapping, right? I always say that to everybody. It's like we don't jump in a car together, right, Alex? And we're like, jump in a car, you jump in a car and say, okay, where we're going? No, we have an address. We put it on Google Maps or Waze, and we know where we're going, and we're going to finish at our destination, right? So where is your destination? A lot of people don't clarify that, right? And we really focus on road mapping. Actually, we use a strategy that was kind of created by Tony Robbins, which is the RPM strategy, the rapid planning method. We focus on that. It's a powerful kind of approach towards personal development, time management, really achieving your goals, whether they're big or small, right? We do that because it's effectively helping us plan our goals, identify the reasons behind them, and determine the necessary actionable steps. And not just the actionable steps, but setting a plan into action, okay? So these are the things that I use myself on a daily basis. If everybody wants to do a day in life with me, you'll see what I do on a daily basis. I really believe in this. We do these. All of us do it. Everybody a part of my team, everybody around us, we focus on this. And generally RPM is just kind of like starting with just clarifying your goals, clear, focused goals of what you want for yourself, your family, your financial freedom. That's okay. To me, identifying these kind of goals will set you in the right path. You have to start there, but not just the goals. You got to figure out why. Why must you achieve them? Why must you do it? Now, for me personally, to be honest with you, it was to gain control of my time back. I previously traded my time for money. That's what we did. No matter what field of medicine you are, you're providing your time for money and you're helping people, but your time is taken from you. So I wanted more flexibility. I wanted to alleviate any financial stressors that my family had. I wanted to ensure that my wife, who had her own personal goals, never had to worry about working ever again. I wanted to spend more quality time with my family, my kids. Okay. I wanted to explore the world more. So those were my personal reasons. And so I had to determine a clear strategy to reach them. So I had to determine what our long-term goals were, starting at the end. Okay. Starting at the end. Where is our destination? And the destination can be broken down, right? It can be broken down to the next 90 days, the next year, the next 3 to 5 years. But what I do know is that 9 out of 10 people listening to us here today has no clue where their path even is. And so it's really starting with those kind of steps. And that's when we talk about that mindset step, like where are we going, right? Instead of where we're at now. And then identifying these roadmap goals. We finally determined our destination. We have a clear strategy for it. But if you don't take action, specific actions to reach your goals, then they're just dreams and they're just wishes. We really focus on identifying, especially with our partners and everybody around us, like specifically step by step, how do we reach your goal? Assuming roles and responsibilities, how do we get closer to those objectives, right? And we kind of break it down. And I know it sounds, simple, but we focus on the 4Ds. We did the delegating, the deferring, the dumps, and the don't do's. Because a lot of people are out there and doing a lot of things that don't push them towards reaching their ultimate roadmap goals. Okay. And things like strategies like I use on a daily basis. If you guys want to take a look at my calendar, it's completely color coded.
Awesome.
Okay. Because I like to time block. I time block a lot. And I think that's helped me in regards to setting my action plan into place. And so I've really done great at focusing on my time blocking. And I can talk about that if we have time, or if not, we'll talk about it later. But it's really just setting those time blocking steps. And the last thing that I always say to people, I say commit, set the deadline and commit, stay on track, ensure that you're being timely with your process, your progress and everything like that, because inch by inch becomes a yard. And so, and I'll tell you, like I said before, and it's easier said than done, but if you commit to really road mapping your steps, you look back 5 years or 5 years from now, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, like look at the body of work that we've accomplished. And that's really where I say that my mindset's at. Focusing, the drive, the motivation is there, but you really need to roadmap yourself to success.
Yeah, agreed. No, I love that. I love the roadmap analogy as well. I was thinking about, as you're talking about, like even our road trip, right? Like we knew where we were going. We didn't necessarily know exactly what we wanted to do, but this is, taken out of the context of a goal scenario. But I think what's also important is we had to stop at the gas station every once in a while and check, hey, how are we doing? Are the tires full of air? Is the camper okay? And it's the same thing that we have to do too. And it's in regards to goals, is we got to make sure we're stopping from time to time and checking our progress, checking our steps to see, hey, have we accomplished our metrics over where we want to be at this stage as we march further and further down the road to get to that final destination. And so, I really love that analogy and think it's so important. I kind of look at my goals more on like a 5-year perspective typically, and look at, hey, where do I want to be financially? Where do I want to be medically, professionally? And then in my family as well, where do I want to be in my family? And that's kind of broken down to, in my family, like, well, what do I want my relationship with my wife to look like? What do I want my relationship with my son to look like? And I found that really offered a lot of clarity for me. And I remember this was recent because I was kind of struggling, and it was actually after a conversation I had with you that I did this, was struggling with kind of like, okay, well, what do I actually want my goals to look like? What do I really want that in 5 years, what does Alex's life look like? And so I went on a hike with my dog, and it's called the Crags in Colorado, near Colorado Springs. It's incredible. If anyone's out here and wants to do it, let me know. But went on a hike to the Crags, went to the top, came back down. I was going to just sit at the top and write these goals, but there's like 60-mile-an-hour wind gust up there. So like, I'll come back down. So I sat next to the stream. It was just me, and my dog was laying right next to me. And I just started like word vomiting, man. Like, hey, in 5 years, this is Alex's life as a doctor. This is Alex's life as a business owner. This is Alex's life as a husband and a father. And it was so freeing just to write that down and just to have, hey, this is the destination that I want to get to and what I want to achieve and what it looks like. And I mean, I was writing down like, this is how much we want coming in from real estate investments and how many assisted living homes we're going to have and all these things. I was really trying to be as detailed and focused as possible. So I have that roadmap to success going forward, and then take that back and look at that and see, okay, well, what do I need to do in the next month to get closer to those goals, in the next week, et cetera, and work from there. And so I think working backwards is important as well. So anyways, really love this. I think mindset's something that's difficult for folks to understand how important it actually is. It's like having diabetes or high blood pressure. It's a silent killer. You can't feel the symptoms. And I think it's the same thing with mindset, as you can't necessarily see the progress immediately. And so folks tend to kind of steer away from it and then not realize, hey, what impact that can have long-term on your success and trajectory going forward.
No, I agree, man. I agree. It's in life, like they say in life, you get what you believe you deserve. You're meant to be big. You're meant to unleash your passion. You're meant to stay hungry, and you're meant to leverage those around you to help you reach these goals. And you got to focus on your why, your needs. I have a mentor of my own, Trevor McGregor. If you guys know him, look him up. I mean, Trevor always talks about this, man. And he's kind of helped me kind of create my own mindset strength process. And it's the 4 S's. And if you've never heard of these 4 S's, I usually say you need to. It's really, like I say, it's hard to start getting into this process, but once you become a part of your daily life, you're focusing on it. You're focusing on your state, your mindset, your state. Where's my state at today? Am I positive or negative? Am I going to be focused on road mapping, or I'm going to have setbacks? Is this a good day or bad day? You got to see where your state of mind is for that day, right? Everybody does. They don't take that time to reflect on that. And neither people like what you do. I do something similar. You verbalize this. You manifest it. You have affirmations you put out there. I believe in that on a daily basis. For those of you who are out there and you're listening, and if you need some of these actionable guidances, I'll tell you guys this. Google I Am the Voice by Tony Robbins. Okay? Listen to that every day for the next 30 days and create that affirmation yourself, because you'll change the way that your state of mind focuses on. And then it's more of like, where's your story? What's your story going to be today? Is today a day that I'm going to start making progress towards my goal? Is it today the day that I'm going to stay consistent and stay motivated towards my process? Is today the day that I'm going to overcome the potential obstacles or even setbacks that we have in life in front of me, right? And then it's your standard. The S is, where's your standard at? Where are you raising your standard at? Do you put your standard of life, of relationships, of parenting, of faith, of mindset, of everything? Where do you place it at, in your life? Where do you want to reach up? I mean, where do you want to reach? Is it up or down? I usually say like that, You always want to reach up. You want to be better. And then you focus on your strategy. Then you say, okay, this is the actual steps I'm going to go forth. And this is what I need to do. And these are the support system I need. And this is the team I need to build. And this is who I need to kind of speak to. And this will help me stay committed to my goals. It's the process of becoming a better version of yourself. I think, at least you and I have that similar, cut from the same cloth, where we understand that you have to have these kind of general needs as a human being, and that's where the mindset, unleashing your mindset, is huge. It's huge. Yeah. It's not mumbo jumbo. I really think of it as like, it's kind of like just any other muscle you have to train. And if you stay consistent with it, you'll see the leaps and bounds of your success in all avenues of your life, just not wealth and wealth creation and stuff like that. I'm saying, I want to be a better husband, be a better father. I want to be a better son. I want to be everything better. Yeah. But you have to take steps on really setting the steps early on.
Yeah. And practice those steps and go
Yeah, yeah,
after those steps to
yeah.
make sure that you are progressing towards your goals. That's where I think checking in is really important. Oh man, I love this. This is great. If no one else has benefit from this conversation, I certainly am, which is great. I think it really takes time to figure out what are your priorities, what are your goals, and what do you want your future life to look like. And I hope that's something that folks take away from this episode. That's the biggest thing is it takes some time to realize what do you want your life to look like in 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, whatever timeline you want to set, but it takes some time and really think about that because I guarantee whatever you write down on paper can be achievable and will be achievable, and encourage you to set really big, hairy, audacious goals so that you have something to really strive for. Man, this is good. To pivot towards real estate a little bit. So you
Yeah,
guys have
sure.
had incredible growth in a short timeline. And I know that you and Lee work together, your wife and your
Yeah.
company, 25/8 Capital. What has that been like partnering with your spouse in investing as well, or in your real estate investment company? What's that look like? And kind of how has working together grown your company more than it would be if it was just yourself?
I mean, I don't even priceless. I don't know what else to say. The word is priceless. We never envisioned, my wife and I, back then. We never had that large, like we had goals, but we never envisioned this being a full-time, successful, focused opportunity for ourselves. And I'm so thankful that I have a partner next to me who has aligned herself with myself in focusing on our roadmap together. We have a thing, and I'll tell everybody this. We have a thing we do every day. It's called the 411s. And maybe for some of you Gen Zers won't know what this means, but 411 used to be a number we used to dial to get the operator and the check-in to get the information from someone. So my wife and I would do daily 411s, and we'll do it when we go for our walks or runs together. And we do it on a daily basis. And that's a part of my time blocking, which I call gold time. Gold time for me is priceless time. I don't care what you have to offer, who it is on the phone. It could be anybody, anyone. My phone is off. And that's why I'm trying to focus on that time. And the thankful part about me having my wife as my partner in life and in business is that we're focused together. Obviously, we've created roles and responsibilities, and we've focused on what we do best and our strengths. And so my wife, who I say is probably the smartest person I know, she is more of that analytical, more detailed, nitty-gritty type A. So she's really on top of our underwriting team, on our lender relations, our bookkeeping, CPA. We're there together in asset management, looking at it from different angles. So I really love that I have somebody right there with me to really focus in there, because I am more operational. I deal with a lot of different groups, a lot of different people, brokers, investors, other partners, and running the operations from a physical standpoint as an operator. And so just to have her with me and helping us in not just in the multifamily, but just with building our financial freedom together. Look, I'll tell you this, Alex, man, we used to work full-time, 50-hour work weeks, man. And we built our financial freedom, slowly over time, but it wasn't like overnight, and it wasn't easy coming off of a night shift or coming off of working long hours, and back then we didn't have a team around us, but like my wife was there with me, and we're like, we got a new rental property and we got to get it cleaned and we got to get it staged and we got to get the appliances in there, and we're doing it together, and we have a baby strapped to us and we're trying to figure it out. And my wife is like 30 weeks pregnant and mowing the lawn, and I'm trying to I would think together we have grown into a beautiful relationship together as a husband and wife, and also as business partners, and developing our strategies, developing our strength, focusing on our roadmap, focusing on what we do best, what we don't want to do any further, and identifying our goals together and staying on track together. She keeps me on track and I keep her on track. And so for all of you who are married and you have partners, and maybe your partner's not really supportive of it, it's more of like focusing on those clear like goals together. What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish together? That's usually the first step, because I get it. Some of us are not fortunate to have these kind of things. I'm thankful for my situation where I'll say focusing on the getting closer by creating these goals together, assuming your roles and responsibility towards it. Those are things I would say has been a powerful thing that me and my partner have really worked on and improved over time. Because yeah, there's ups and downs, there's peaks and valleys, obviously. And trust me, when kids come into play, and for those of you who are parents, just like you and I, man, especially young kids, you are juggling and you are maintaining little sleep, maintaining a life, maintaining work, maintaining this, maintaining that. completely get it. We fill in our roles and responsibilities to keep the team going. And so it's just been, I mean, I don't know. I'm just thankful. I don't know. I'm just thankful and grateful that I get to live this life and I have a partner behind me who helps me live
Yeah.
this beautiful life together.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel the same way about my wife, Stephanie. Having such an incredible partner is just a game changer, man, for life. I mean, it's the greatest cheat code to life that exists in terms of success going forward. It's just a game changer, knowing that they're in your corner, supporting you, encouraging you, and that you guys are, are connected, like-minded goals, and chasing after those together is just so important. And I was thinking back when you were talking about, kids strapped to your chest doing work. We were fixing up a rental property, a short-term rental in Georgia, and I remember, I mean, my wife had like jacks strapped to her. She was painting cabinets, and we put him in the little boppy chair thing. And he's like
Yeah.
watching us as we're, doing whatever, fixing up this rental property. And it's really cool. And I think it's important for our kids to see that and see kind of the hustle and the grind and understand hard work really pays off. And
Right.
we talked about this before the call. They're watching everything that we do and they're listening to what we say, but they're really watching what we do. And if we can really model being an incredible father and husband and entrepreneur
Right.
to them, it's just going to help leaps and bounds for them as they continue to grow up and succeed in life.
No, I completely agree with it. And like I said before, like, it's just, you're being that role model, you're being that example, you're trying to show them what a leader is, what you're doing for your family, the sacrifices, and you're showing them that you're giving them a different viewpoint of life. And it's gonna sink in. They're gonna remember mommy and daddy. We're out there. Especially we're big about taking photos and
Yeah.
documenting this part because I have my young daughter who's now 6. She was strapped on me at 3 months old. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cherish those memories. And if my daughter grows up to be a bigger and better version of us, then she's gonna have that memories within her. And she's going to have that confidence, and she's going to have that, and she's going to have that belief system, and she's going to understand that, like, it's what you practice in private that you're rewarded for in public.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's huge for us.
Yeah. And so much about parenting is just showing up and just being there and being present. And I think that's kind of another way that having your goals and also some degree of financial freedom can help you with that and really focus on what matters. I like boundaries that exist, as we've talked about. And I come home, I take the phone's on airplane mode or our phone's on silent, and I put it in the kitchen and I don't touch it until my son goes to bed, and that time with him is just so important. It's way more important than any phone call I'm going to get. And just having those priorities set up has been really helpful because I want him to always remember that, like, hey, dad was there, dad was present, dad
Right.
did whatever he could to spend
Right.
as much time with me as possible. And so I think that's why I love real estate so much and teaching others, like, hey, some degree of financial freedom can be such a game changer to help you practice medicine, live life how you want to.
Right. No,
Yeah.
that's completely true. You have your time back in a way that allows you to focus on what your why is. And that's
Yeah.
important, to be honest with you. That's what really I look at. My time for my family, my time for my friends, my time for myself, focusing on taking care of myself so I can be the better version of myself for those around me.
Yeah.
That's huge for me now because I didn't have that mindset previously, at least not
Right.
this focused. And that's why I'm thankful for it because I've had a different viewpoint now that I did before. And, we work. We bleed for others and we're dedicated to serve others. But when you're in your later stages of your life, and you've been there too, right? You're in your
Yeah.
later stages of your final ages of life. What is important to you then? It really
Yeah.
isn't money. It really is not money. It really is those memories of those loved ones that are holding your hand as you take your last breath next to you that you're really focused on. It's those people that really carved a place in your heart that you really want there, and I recognize and reflect that life doesn't stop. Clock keeps ticking forward. It's kind of like the version of a life that you want to live. You have to kind of decide that. And I'm glad that we're talking about this versus just talking about real estate today. And maybe we're going to have to come back and just do a real estate focused kind of discussion. But this is where it starts, everybody.
Yeah.
It's your
Yeah.
why, it's your focus. Go back to that first. I know everybody wants to jump in it. I know everybody wants to look at deals. I know everybody wants to look at returns and metrics and IRRs and I know I get it. That comes. But when the going gets tough, and just like right now, market's volatile, stock market is a roller coaster, ups and downs, debt market is difficult, hard to make deals pencil in. That's when you really focus on why even am I doing this? and why I'm going to stay motivated to focus on that, and why I'm
Yeah.
going to show up every day with the same mindset.
Agreed. Yeah, I think now is a great time to take a step back and really shore up those goals and build that foundation so that you're ready to build on it once you get that figured out. Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
think we're gonna have to have you come back and we'll talk more
Oh
real
yeah.
estate nitty gritty. I was thinking back, a lot of times we have this goal or we have this thought that we need to achieve quote unquote financial freedom as fast as
Yeah.
possible immediately, and that's not true. Do you remember when you guys first got started? Your first deal, that first rent check, like how did that feel when you first got that first little taste of mailbox money?
Oh my gosh, man. Like it was kind of like I didn't believe it. Like I was kind of like surreal. Our first little deal, I don't know if we have enough time to talk about my first little deal, but our first
Sure,
little
let's do
deal
it.
was this little rinky dink little property. It was a little townhome. It was on the market for like 7 months. Nobody wanted it. It was in bad shape. At that time, I was working 2 jobs, working full time and then moonlighting. And I was trying to figure it out. And I said, on my days off, I didn't know what to do. So I was trying to connect, and I connected with an agent who then connected me with the brokers. And we're kind of talking. I said, look, man, I kind of told him my goals. I just put it out there in the world. I said, I want to reach financial freedom in the next 5 years. I want to own 50 doors in the next 5 years. And they laughed at me because I'm like, what do you know? You don't know anything. What are you doing? You don't have any money. You don't know anything. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And this is how I'm going to do it. And so I got them to start looking for properties for me because Zillow is just a waste of time. And so I connected with them and they helped me find properties. And I found this little rinky dink little property on the market. I got it for $50,000. Okay. Yeah. Go find that nowadays.
Yeah.
$50,000 property. It's a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, just fully just in just distress state. And at that time, I was able to connect with local networking events and things like that. So I connected with a contractor who really helped me put that property into a better state, along with a little bit of sweat equity myself, painting cabinets and walls I'm used to, just like you guys are. I think I dumped like $12,000 into it. 4 weeks later, I had a completely brand new redone property, and we put it on the market ourselves at that time because we didn't even understand the importance of property management. So we put ourselves on the market that time. We luckily, by the way, found a lovely young lady. She's a civil engineer, and she's been with us ever since, to be honest with you, still living there. And we started renting out the property, and we started getting the money coming in the account. And we're like, holy smokes, this works. It's coming in. It's like, she's paying every month. We're covering our taxes. We're covering the insurance. Once we did a cash out refi, we're covering the mortgage payments, and we still have the cash flow coming. We're like, we got the bug. We were just so like, this is not fake. They're not making this up. It actually works in any market. In any market, it works. It's not a special market. It just works. You just got to find the opportunity, and you got to make sure you know how to look at it, and you got to make sure that you make it work. And so it was just this event of like, oh my gosh, why hasn't anybody told us this? And how do we rinse and repeat this? That's where we're at with that mindset, man. It was just so cool. And it was euphoric.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. I can remember that.
It's such a cool feeling. That money's coming in regardless of how many patients you see or the extra
Right.
shift that you work. And that's
Yeah.
what's so powerful, man. Whether you're sleeping, whether you're awake, it's great. So yeah, goal at the time was 5 years, 50 doors. You said, where are we at now in regards to that?
I don't know the exact, we're over 200 doors for sure. I don't know
That's awesome.
exactly where that's at. 200 doors. We're looking at currently acquiring another 125 doors right now. And we're just extremely thankful and grateful for this great roadmap that we had. And, if we didn't focus on taking action early on, by the way, calculated actions, like I didn't just like randomly just show up. No, calculated steps towards that action, we wouldn't be here today. And so that's kind of what it really kind of boils down to. It's kind of just focusing on what you deserve and focusing on taking action. Obviously, I think most of us in healthcare, we're going to be ultra skeptical, calculated, overthinking, overanalyzing. And that's okay. But at some point, you need to say, look, take action. Take action on something. Certain things that I regret not taking action on, really, I kick myself in the butt for. And I wish I took action sooner. And honestly, I really wish I would have partnered, connected, networked a whole lot sooner. I wish I would, because I would have had a less of a ceiling that would be kind of like a less of a short runway here if I had connected sooner. So I just kind of the things that I've just, your knowledge comes from your experiences, right? And so experiences as whatever you are. And so you just learn and you kind of grow from that. So
Yeah, couldn't agree more. That's awesome. There's definitely deals I wish that I acted on sooner. Definitely a few come to mind. And networking. That's what I love so much about this podcast is getting to connect with and form relationships with incredible people like yourself
Yeah.
and know like, hey, if I have a question in regards to something that Victor's doing, or I know that he has a great wealth of knowledge on, I can just give you a call and we can talk about it. We can go through
Yeah.
it. And it's just so cool, man, to have those relationships and have that networking. So that's another thing that I think is really important in this time in the real estate investing market of like, hey, yeah, goals are really important and get that figured out and figure out your priorities, but also network, because you never know
Yeah.
what opportunity is going to come from a conversation, you know?
Seriously, guys, I'm telling you this, like just a quick text message from a friend got me connected with Alex, and then we're
Yeah.
connected with other people. And then we're just taking quick 20-minute calls and say, hey, how can I be
Yeah.
of value to you? And how can we be, focusing on road mapping together? Like these little things, man, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to connect. Don't be afraid to reach out, be of value. Don't come in and saying me, 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 me. Come in and saying, what can I give? What can I help create? How can I help? These things really go a long ways into really getting you to your personal goals, I would say. It's just staying committed to that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my friends, his name is Brian Lubin. He's got a great podcast called The Action Academy. And he talks about the number one key to networking is instead of going into a room and trying to be the most interesting person in the room, go into the room and be the most interested person in the room.
Yeah.
And that is the key to networking. And I've really seen that change in terms of myself as well, just trying to be most interested in what folks have to say and really take that time to learn from them, because they're going to just share their wealth of knowledge, and people love talking about their story and their journey and their successes and their failures. And you can learn so much from that.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very, very true.
absolutely, man. Awesome. Well, we got to wrap things up to get ready to head to
Got it.
church here, but I want to make sure if there's anything else that we haven't hit on this episode, feel free. And then want to also have folks know how to reach out and connect to you as well.
Oh, yeah. I think honestly, man, this is a great conversation we've had. Hopefully people can listen to this and reflect on it. If you're going out for a walk, a run, if you're focusing in your car, driving to the hospital or the clinic, I know who you are. I know, I've been there. I'm sitting in your seat right there. Just listen in. This is definitely powerful things that I never had people to talk to about or open up about. And I think this is powerful and beautiful. And I think if you can just take one actionable step from this, it's already leading you in the right direction. And so you have a little bit of kind of visionary guidance that way. And for those of you who are out there want to connect with us, feel free. We're 258 Capital. Website is www.258cap.com. We're all over social media, Instagram, Facebook. We're really starting to really do a little bit more on video content, YouTube, to try to provide actionable educational guidance. And if you don't mind, man, I want to really throw out a little valuable gift to all of our listeners. For those of you who are listening today, I'd like to be of value. So actually, based on what we're talking about today, I think it's probably best to focus on road mapping. So we created a little bit of a road mapping guide, which is we call it the Financial Freedom Unlocked, that busy professional's guide. And it really focuses on, it's a simple read and a simple guidance and a power book, but really focus on getting you in that right mindset and the knowledge and the strategies to provide you to start embarking your financial freedom path. So for everybody who's listening here, okay, if you email us at info@258cap.com and you place a keyword in there like physicians and properties, we'll send you the guide for free, just for free. I don't care. We want you to just embark on your roadmap, be of guidance, be of support, be a resource. Okay. So if you guys do it directly, my team will, with no questions asked, we'll just directly send it to you. And then hopefully that will help you in some way or other achieve your journey towards financial freedom.
Absolutely. Love that. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for always being willing to provide so much value, man. Really appreciate it. We'll get you back on. We'll talk some nitty gritty real estate here in the future. But I think this conversation was way more important to hear, and not as much of these conversations happen. So I'm really grateful for it, man. Thanks for making my Sunday morning.
Oh, man. Thank you as well, man. I appreciate your time, your effort, your energy, and just the value you're giving all the listeners here, man. It's big, guys. Keep listening. Alex is doing some good stuff.
Oh, thanks, man. Really appreciate that. Well, with that, it's been Alex and Victor with another episode of the Physicians and Properties Podcast, signing off. Hey, real quick, if you're still listening to this, I'm assuming you got value from it. So I need your help specifically. My 2-year vision with this podcast is to help 100,000 physicians learn how investing in real estate can give you the freedom to practice medicine and live life how you want. There are 2 main ways that a podcast grows. One is through ratings and reviews, and the other is word of mouth. If you can please leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as send this to 1 to 2 friends that you think would get value from it, we can reach the physicians that we want to reach. Thanks in advance, and talk to you on the next episode. Please note that the information shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only. It should not be considered financial or medical advice. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the host and the guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense or the United States Air Force.